When it comes to cigar anatomy, the mighty binder section of a cigar typically gets overlooked in favor of the obvious wrapper and the filler blend inside. But while the binder definitely does not get nearly as much love as the other types of tobacco leaf inside a premium cigar blend, there is a lot about it that deserves recognition and praise. There's a reason why all premium long filler cigars rely upon this type of leaf to make a cigar work properly. And not just work properly, but smell proper as well. Because as you shall soon see, the binder adds a lot of aromatics to a smoke. Even more underappreciated is the rarity that is the dual binder cigar, which you don't see all that often, but when you do, it can make a massive difference in the way the cigar performs, smells, and tastes. But before I get too deep into this topic of dual binders, note that I have included a list of cigars that contain not one, but two binders down below for you to peruse in case you want to try a few out for yourself. Let's back up a minute and discuss the regular old cigar binder and why it is utilized in a premium cigar blend. Binder leaves typically come from the lower section of the tobacco plant, which doesn't see so much sunlight. Naturally, this affects flavor quite a bit, which makes them a bit on the milder side, you might say. However, that doesn't mean that they are not aromatic. So you will oftentimes find aromas in a cigar coming from the binder and not just the wrapper and the filler section. Furthermore, binder leaf typically doesn't have as much of a veiny issue as a lot of the top tier sun-grown stuff. So that makes it ideal for adding that layer underneath a wrapper that can bind up all of the filler inside. Fermentation and curing times are a little bit on the shorter side with this type of leaf, typically 1 to 2 years as well. And that also helps sometimes guarantee that there's some elasticity to the leaf, and also because it's quasi shade grown lower down on the plant, you don't have these really big veins sticking out, which makes for a cleaner product when it's time to roll. And while aromatics definitely do play a key role in the binder's purpose in life, it's name that really matters, and that is to bind what is inside. Again, the long filler. That is why if you have a cracked wrapper on a cigar, sometimes it will still smoke just fine as long as that binder leaf underneath is not compromised. It may not be the prettiest looking thing, but it should still burn all right, and in some cases burn totally fine. This leads us to the topic of the dual binder application and why cigar manufacturers opt to apply not one but two leaves to keep all that filler in play. The first and most obvious now is the act of creating an aromatic. By selecting not one but two different types of tobacco strain, you can get two very different kinds of aromatic placed inside of the cigar. And being that cigar smoking is an olfactory experience, what you smell is what you taste, voila! Next thing you know, you have a pretty complex blend on your hands. The other reason why a dual binder is occasionally applied to a cigar is to aid in construction and burn. Sometimes if one binder starts to burn a little unevenly, but the other one is burning true, it'll help even out the combustion process, and you won't have to break out that torch lighter entirely too early. While this is not a guaranteed solution to a burn or construction issue, it definitely does have its merits when it works correctly. That being said, I have experienced plenty of dual binder cigars that have burned beautifully, and others that didn't burn well at all, and even others that just didn't want to burn at all. So while there is no guarantee that a dual binder is going to aid your cigar in its combustion process, I can say that it sure is nice to encounter one in the wild when you're not expecting it. This cigar production methodology is still a little bit of a rarity, and again, can provide for some interesting aromatics and possibly a better burn. That's why I always recommend going out and picking up a dual binder cigar when you encounter one in the wild, because it could provide you with something very special indeed.